Want to welcome in here PGA Tour professional Kevin Kisner. Kevin, this is a series we're doing 24/7 sports, social distance. Thank you for your time, first off, this morning. Let's just jump right to it, man. It's a new world we're living in. How are you handling this quarantine? What are you and your family doing? Practice? Give me your top Netflix show. What are you binging?
Well, Rusty, thanks for having me, man. As you can tell, I got plenty of free time that I'm joining your butt on here.
There ain't no doubt.
So we're about to run out of activities, I think, to keep these kids going. We got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, so it's full-time parenting, and a guy that's used to being on the road 250 days a year. It's pretty interesting to be around your children so much and be at your house. We're just hanging, man. We're just not doing anything. I'm going to the golf course a little bit every day and trying to come up with some type of redneck workouts around my house to keep my body in shape. But
have you got the milk jugs with the cement yet?
I've been watching Sinclair's from Georgia, his videos, and one day I said, "Bo, you about to kill me with these push-ups, man. We don't have to do push-ups every day."
Wow.
But we're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, man. I told my wife it's kind of like a mid-career hiatus. I get to kind of chill and reflect and give some time to relax. And I'm using it as a positive to try to make myself better for my tail end of my career. I'm getting old, which sounds weird.
Netflix. I got to ask because everybody talks about it. I watched it because I couldn't turn it off once I got into it. Tiger King. Did you watch it?
I did, man. It's like watching a car crash, You
Yeah.
just can't turn your eyes away from it. The mere fact that people in America are actually like that drives me crazy.
That's what I said. And for 3 people on different parts of the country to be connected like that was insane to me.
And I'm from South Carolina, obviously, and one of them being in Myrtle Beach, all my buddies are texting me, you idiots over there in South Carolina. He was running basically a woman cult down there in Myrtle Beach. So, man, what a wild show. But we just started Ozark season 3 last night, so I'll probably be hot and heavy into that coming up in the future.
I'm saving that one. You got to have something to look forward to. So I'm trying to save Ozark as long as I can every single day. I'm putting it off, knowing I got some time. Once I lock into that one, I'm gonna be worthless for about a day and a half.
Yeah, you'll binge watch that one.
Me, you talked a little bit last night. Let's talk about this right now, the golf and where you're at. What was your mindset when the tour was suspended? What was your mindset and what were you thinking at that time?
It's pretty interesting. I don't play much on the West Coast being from Southeast, and I like once we get back on this side of the country, I like this type of grass. I feel comfortable, don't have to travel as much. So I was just getting ready to do a 7 out of 8 week stretch when the Players Championship was canceled. And it was very interesting how we were trying to play a golf tournament amidst these guys making all these crazy decisions. In fact, I talked to our PGA Tour Commissioner, Jay Monahan, 3 times. On Thursday evening after I finished until 10 o'clock at night, he called me and said, "I can't do it anymore. We're done. We just can't risk it." So the whole world kind of changed in 3 hours, basically.
Wow.
I just finished playing 18 holes in front of fans to understand I wasn't playing in front of fans the next day to not play any more golf. So this is kind of the meat of the schedule for me. This is where I make all my hay is on these golf courses in this stretch. So it's interesting, fortunate enough for me, I've had a great career and I've made enough money that I can survive these times. But, I feel terrible for the guys that were just getting their tour card or rookies that, their first season's kind of cut in half or at best. And, they're all wondering where they're going to be next. So I'm trying to keep it as a positive and look out for everybody else in different areas of the tour.
Many times you played that course, how nervous do you get coming up to 17?
It never changes, bro. That 50-yard walk is the longest 50 yards of your career. Luckily, this year, the only day we played it, it was a perfect wind for that hole. So you catch that thing into the wind, buddy, you really are grinding.
Wow. I think it's tight on Sundays, doesn't it?
No doubt. That year almost won. You couldn't have had a better win. So I would hate to be standing there with a 7-iron into that north wind trying to hit that island green.
Let's talk a little bit about something I know you're very passionate about, and I see a lot on social media, see it everywhere. I had a couple of my buddies yesterday, social media tweeting out They got hats. This Kevin Kisner Foundation, you and your wife, Brittany, by the way, I can tell you can recruit because you outkicked your coverage there.
That's right.
You know, you and your wife started this foundation. Tell me a little bit about this and what it does and why you started it.
So Brittany was a speech pathologist for pediatrics, and she's from Madison, Georgia, right near Athens. So I brought her honey over here to South Carolina to the good side of the river. But she saw a huge need for children in our community. So once I kind of got to a point that we felt like we had a platform to help others, we started this foundation, and it's pretty much her baby. I helped kind of get the fundraising going, and she basically does all the logistics. So we've been fortunate enough that we had enough fans to vote us to win that MetLife matchup last year for $750,000, and that really changed the way our foundation works. You know, we've been so fundraiser based. We've had a couple or 3 years, I guess now, fundraisers in the fall, and we've made a few $100,000 and given a bunch of money away, but that really put us on the map. So in the last year, we really have stepped our game up, and we're looking for ways in this environment right now that we can help others. We just approved last night 2 of our board members are going to take over running around the area hospitals, feeding all the staff once a week.
Wow.
So hopefully in the next few weeks we can get past this peak, and that way we can make a small difference. But we've partnered with Land of Thee, a company out of Augusta that Charles Kelly, a fellow dog from Lady Antebellum, helped start, and they make some really cool hats and some T-shirts and some koozies, and they're nice enough to handle all logistics and give us our money from off of those sales. So you go check out their site. We got all kinds of hats and cool koozies and stuff that people can purchase.
Whoever does your social media for that foundation does a great job. It's everywhere, by the way.
That's your boy, yours truly, right here.
Well, you're doing a good job with that. And now that you got more time, I'm expecting a little more out of you with that.
We got all the time in the world, boy.
Masters, first moment there, teeing off that morning, your first event. What was that feeling like?
Probably as nerve-wracking as I've ever been. Growing up, going to the Masters every year, dreaming about playing. Never, I never was 100% sure I was going to make it. It's the hardest event in the world to get into, and just being able to play there. And the most proud I am is that I played. This would have been my 5th straight Masters, which I think is a huge accomplishment.
Wow.
I was excited about playing this year. I felt really good after Sunday last year. I had it 6 under through 15, ended up only shooting 4, but that was the first time in 4 Masters that I had it going, and I realized I could shoot low around that place. So I was excited about that.
What was the crowd like? I mean, obviously Tiger won that thing. What was the energy like last year with him being involved, the roars? What was that like playing in that environment?
It was very odd, Rusty, to be truthful, because we went off of both tees at 7:30 in the morning. We had that huge storm coming in. First time ever they made us go early. So we were all the golfers were on the course at the same time, which I don't know if the Masters has ever done. So I'm coming up the front 9 because I was the first off the back. I was in like middle of the pack, and he teed off. He was kind of making the turn as I was coming up to finish my round. So to watch the crowds build, and then I basically was done with him to go play the last 6, 7 holes. So I went in the caddy house and watched it with all the caddies and drank a few beers and enjoyed sitting on the grounds of Augusta National watching Tiger Woods win the Masters.
Wow, crazy. Great view there. I'm fascinated when athletes that have played like that in a top event. And let's take you back to 2018 to the British Open. Going into Sunday, what was your mindset and what was that day like for you? Obviously finished second, but an event like that, what was your mindset waking up that Sunday morning going into those 18 holes?
Yeah, what people don't understand about waking up with a lead in a major championship, especially the British Open, you don't tee off till 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 3:30. And I'm up at 7 anyway. So I got to sit around the house for 8 hours thinking about it all day, watching the covers, trying to figure it out. The most interesting part of that round in 18 was the first 3 days were just picture perfect weather, hardly any wind. And Sunday, the wind came up 25 miles an hour, and that just totally changed the golf course, changed the way everything was playing, and made it very difficult. I think I shot maybe 3 or 4 over and still finished second. So it went from being scoreable to you had to be really on top of your game to even compete around par. So Francesco played unbelievable. I remember, I'll never forget, I was in the 18th fairway, and they don't have electronic scoreboards over there like we do in the U.S.
Yeah.
And he made a putt on 18, and I was one back, and I thought it was for par. So I kind of hit it out to the right of the pin a little bit and walked around the bridge and realized he made birdie, so I would have had to hold that second shot. But that's just things that are going on. It goes so fast. You know, anytime you're in sports and it's a big situation, the best players can make it slow down, and the people that don't love it make it speed up. So I remember thinking, man, I didn't even have a clue he made birdie. But you know, what are the chances I was going to hold that shot? Looking back at it.
Let's transfer. Let's just get over to Georgia. And before we talk about the Georgia Bulldogs and other things, you were part of a national championship team at Georgia. That season, 2005, were y'all like the preseason favorites, or y'all one of the 4 or 5 teams that could have won it, or y'all just all of a sudden got hot and, you know, like y'all took care of business?
Yeah, man. We in 05, we were probably top 5. We were definitely not by far the favorites to win it all. It's one of those deals where each tournament throughout the year we got a little bit better, and the consistency of our team that year was unbelievable. Nobody, you know, we all could shoot 68 to 65, and nobody really ever shot over 72. And that's what you need in a team event, is you need all 5 guys hanging in there and having a chance. And that's the most evident is the final round of that national championship. We all 5 shot 70. And we told the Canadian Richard Scott we threw his score out because we didn't like Canada.
Oh, man. How tight are y'all? Y'all still got a group text or whatever?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And we had a SID from Georgia actually text us this week or last week saying he wanted to do a story on that year. We told the 2 boys, David Denham and Richard Scott, that aren't playing anymore, they could do all that because they needed some more fame.
Still riding those coattails?
Oh, yeah, bro.
Let's get over to, you talk about living in South Carolina. I mean, you talked a little bit about this last night. Obviously, and hopefully there's going to be a 2020 season, but there's going to be a game in 2021 to start the season. I can see you smiling already. Georgia versus Clemson. What's your thoughts on that? What's your feelings on that? What have you told Kirby Smart on that? Georgia Clemson in 2021 is going to be the complete offseason talk.
Yeah, man. You know, the most interesting part about Clemson fans is they act like it's game day every day of the week, all 365 days of the year. They wear those terrible purple and orange colors to play golf, to go to the bar, to ride around in their truck. I'm like, Jesus, bro. I mean, it's not a football game today. So I make fun of them every day at the golf course, but it's hard to make fun of their football team. You know, they've been unbelievable the last few years. And as soon as that schedule idea came out, I texted Kirby immediately and said, please, God, I don't care what happened, beat the hell out of those boys in 2021. And he said, don't you worry, I'm going to try my best, buddy.
Oh, me. Talk about your relationship with Kirby. I know you guys are, you know, we talked a little bit last night. You guys are pretty close, talk a lot, text a lot. What's your relationship like with him?
This answer's going to be a little long-winded, but when I kind of started making some hay in golf, I went back to a few practices, hung out with Mark Rick a few times before Kirby, and I'll never forget this. Is we're getting ready to start the FedEx Cup playoffs, and Mark asked me where I was playing next, and I told him we're getting ready to start the FedEx Cup playoffs on the PGA Tour, and he said, "Well, what is that?" And I said, "Man, I don't know if we're gonna be boys, Mark. You and I. You don't even know what the FedEx Cup playoffs are." So it's interesting. Kirby gets hired a couple years later, and one of his first calls was getting Mike Cabin and him to call me on speakerphone. And I was like, what the hell do you guys want? You just got the Georgia head coach job. He's like, man, we got so many PGA Tour players from the University of Georgia. We got to find a way to incorporate this and help us fundraise and showcase how great the University of Georgia is. And I thought that was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen, is he took the time in his first week of school to call us and reach out to all of us and get us all on board to come back and help him any way we can. So I thought he went about it the right way. Since then, we've played numerous rounds of golf together and hung out socially a few times in the mountains. And he's a great dude, and I think he's a great leader at the University of Georgia.
Let me ask you this, on the record. Is Kirby Smart one of those guys, his ball goes into the woods and he miraculously finds it, or does he take the drop?
I tell people all the time, he plays golf just like he coaches football. He's yelling at that ball loud the entire 18 holes. And I'll never forget the first time we went to Augusta National together. he walks over to the first tee, and it's just him and I and a member, so it wasn't like a big game or anything.
Yeah.
He's went walking up to the 4 tees. I said, no, buddy. You coming to play the back tees with me.
Wow.
He's like, no way. We get going around there, and it's a struggle for him, right? I mean, it's long and hard and wet. We get to the 9th tee, and he's having a tough day, and he's about to touch the ball in his downswing. He goes, I got no business being back here as he's hitting the ball. I was dying, dude. Mid-swing, screaming at me, yelling about playing the back tees.
Let's talk about Georgia and you as a fan. How much? I mean, obviously you keep up with it. How do you do it like in early September and those times when you're still playing? Let's say Georgia's playing Tennessee at 3:30. You're in the middle of a round. Does somebody tip you off like, hey, it's 7-0, or you just completely wait till everything's over with? How do you keep up with all that?
Rusty, those days are my caddy's worst nightmares.
Oh.
He has the phone in his bib with the game live streaming, and I'll watch it at shots.
Wow.
So he's like, man, I don't understand. How can you be 3 under par and you don't even give a shit about the next shot? You're over here worried about, if Jake Fromm threw the correct out route on time. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm way bigger football fan than golf fan.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about this tweet in 2017. It was really one of the first times. I mean, I knew who you were. It was really one of the first times I thought, man, this guy really, really is a fan. East Lake Tour Championship, it was Saturday. I think you teed off at like 150. Right. Georgia was playing Mississippi State, Kirby Smart's first 2017 second season big game. You just flat out put a tweet out, hey, man, I need a helicopter ride. I mean, were you kind of kidding and really it took off? Were you like serious, like, man, I need a helicopter this game?
Well, it's a pretty long story. Mike Cavan came over to walk a practice round with me on Wednesday, and he said, here, I'm going to bring y'all some tickets. I'm bringing some tickets to the game. You bring a couple of tour players over on Saturday. I said, perfect. So he walked around with Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas and I playing a practice round. So we were going to go over there. Well, we had no idea that they moved the tee times back on Saturday. We thought we'd play early. So Friday night, I get a text on my tee time. I'm like, man, there's no way I'm getting over to Athens in time for kickoff. Hour and a half drive. I won't be done till 6:30. And that's when I just fired the tweet off. And then Justin Thomas texted me immediately on the side and said, are you serious, man? I got a buddy that actually owns a helicopter company in Atlanta and is willing to fly you. So that dude picked me up at the neighboring golf course at East Lake, and we landed in Athens, and had a buddy in the Georgia State Patrol pick me up in a cop car, drove me straight to the game, and we walked out with Kirby and Josh Lee walking out of the stadium, and Kirby said, what do you think about flea flicker on the first play? And I said, Josh Lee goes, I don't know, Kirby, if maybe we just run it on that first play. And Kirby goes, if we stop them 3 and out, I'm running it. And sure enough, we went 3 and out. They kicked it to the 50, and he looked down the sideline at me and gave me a wink, and I said, oh, God. and they ran it for a touchdown. It was one of the coolest moments I'd ever seen.
Oh, wow. So you're sitting there the whole time hoping Mississippi State goes 3 and out.
Oh, yeah. And later in that game, Rusty, it's like 21. I think we beat them 28-0 or something like that. But Coach Cavan, would not let me leave. I'm trying to go because I got to get back to East Lake to play the final round. It's already 10:30 at night, and I'm like, all right, Coach, we got this under wraps. I'm leaving. He's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. I've seen it. I've seen it all. You're not leaving.
Oh, wow.
So we're driving down the field, and we're kind of standing down at the 10-yard line, kind of out of everybody's way. And Nick Chubb takes a handoff, and he's running it straight at me. And I'm like, oh, God, I start backing up. He puts his foot in the ground, turns it upfield. And I remember turning down the sideline, watching him go in the end zone, and I just get thrown back.
Man.
And I'm like, oh, God, I'm in trouble. Kirby's never going to let me come down the sideline again.
Wow.
I look up, and Kirby Smart is the one that threw me back, and he's going. I said, man, I love this guy. I'm going to want him to coach Georgia for the rest of my life.
Oh, man. Talk about give me your favorite Georgia game. As a kid, college, being there, watching TV, what was I say, hey, I know there's a bunch, but give me that one game you're like, man, I will never forget where I was or that game.
Well, there's 2. I'm going to need your help on one because I was probably drinking too much. But with the Soldier Boy game with No Shine.
Oh, yeah.
Was that Auburn?
Yeah, it was an Auburn game at home. Yep. Yeah, I believe that was 07.
That was one of the loudest I'd ever seen the stadium, and everybody, grown men out there singing "Soldier Boy." I was dying laughing at that one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Notre Dame this year, man. I mean, when we finally showcased all those LED lights, and I'll never forget. I'm a huge recruiting guy, so I watch all the recruits. And I went down with Keith Mitchell before the game. Georgia, Chris Hack had some recruits down there, and all the football recruits that came to that game.
Sure.
It's just amazing how big these kids are at a young age. And I remember walking around through there. I'm like, man, I wouldn't touch this 16-year-old now. And he's just grown men walking around there. I thought it was amazing.
So he's signed now, so we can talk about it. But Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Las Vegas, when you saw him come down the bleachers, 6'8", tight end, I was like, man, and I do this for a living. It's like I can't believe that kid's in high school. I'll never forget that game. Seeing that
Trackhouse too, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's talk about, and let's just hope and pray that everything goes right and this season's played out. Give me your thoughts on what you think Georgia going into this 2020 season. What you think what this team's going to look like. A lot of new pieces on offense. Defensively, me and you talked last night. There's some flat out dudes over there.
Yeah, I'm not worried about too many teams running the score up on us. I think the most difficult part is obviously new offensive scheme, offensive coaches, and between Matt, Luke, Todd Monken trying to figure out how they're blocking on each play with each play call. I'm sure they're getting plenty of time to do that, but all new play callers, who's going to run the offense and understand it well enough. I think that's going to be difficult, but we ought to be able to push some people around up front and hand the ball off. And I know Kirby likes to do that. And hopefully he'll get out of Todd's ear and let us throw the ball a little bit.
Favorite UGA player? Herschel's got to be out. That's a given. Give me that for your favorite UGA player. I'm
gonna really weird y'all out. Well, not weird y'all out, but probably the dude that I first came to Georgia and remember watching and thought it was coolest was David Green. He wasn't the most athletic dude in the world, but he knew all the plays and he put that ball on the money, man. And I loved watching him throw that deep ball down the sidelines to all those guys and let them run under it. I think that's a lost art in quarterbacks, is putting some air under the ball and letting the wide receivers go chase it down. And I really remember I came on an unofficial visit to a Kentucky game in about 2001 and watching David Green throw about a 40, 50-yard bomb down the sidelines. I thought, man, that's a beautiful pass.
Who do you talk the most? Last question. Who do you talk the most smack with? PGA guy? Who's the guy you and him go back and forth about college football? It's got to be somebody as passionate as you are.
Well, about college football, Justin Thomas for sure, because he's as highly involved, and obviously he has a little bit of relationship with Kirby. And anytime Justin beats me in golf, which is way more than I want to admit, Kirby's always busting my hind about that. But I love talking trash to Bubba Watson too, just about life, and I give him hell about Georgia all the time, and we go back and forth. But the other guy I probably talk the most with is Phil. Whenever I see him, Phil thinks he's pretty good at the trash talking, but he's a little scared to go heads to head with me. I always have a comeback.
Man, we appreciate your time this morning, and hope things get back to normal as soon as possible. You going to play golf today? You going to practice today?
I'm going to go practice a little bit, but now I'm going turkey hunting in the morning, so I'm going to ride up to my farm and get things ready to roll. I've never been in town for turkey hunting, dude, so I'm like a novice out there trying it all over again.
Oh, pumped for that, aren't you?
Yeah, no doubt.
Appreciate your time today, Kevin, and hope to talk to you soon. And let's get you back on, man, before football season. And hopefully for me, selfishly, you're playing the Masters during football season, man, because I cannot go without that event no matter what time of year it is.
Rusty, I appreciate you having me. Anytime you need me, man, just reach out to me, and go Dogs.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.